Hey everybody, it's Sherman. Welcome back to Lucid's 2022 Tournament Game 4, where we are playing Nazca. This is turn 83, and yeah, we're fighting against Pelagia. It's a thing. It's happening. Things are probably gonna start heating up. I think turn 1 of the war was turn 81, right? So turn 2, we had a couple of, like, minor skirmishes, but nothing super big. I'm expecting now we're going to start seeing some, not major engagements, but closer to major engagements. So, let's see how things go. Starting things off, though, before we actually get to battles, we're in the late game, so, of course, we're going to have remote attacks. Right off the bat, we've got Yigorod, the Mound King, was mentally attacked by a mage, but managed to resist the attack. And then another Mound King was killed in an attack. Both of these are Mind Hunts. So for the remote section, we have Mind Hunts, 1 win, 1 loss. So we can kind of just notate that. I don't know if I'm going to be using Mind Hunt myself, because Pelagia has a shit ton of Astral Mages, right? So Mind Hunt might not really be on my docket, but you know, we'll keep our opportunities in mind. So we got that going on. What else is happening? I don't think there's anything else really, except for getting the actual battles. So we've got a whole lot of battles. Let's jump into all of the not us fights first. We got Vanheim attacking Arco in Lost Canyon Range. Let's see what's up there. Little raid party, or a little raider against PD. That's definitely a victory for Vanheim. Vanheim attacking in Own. Another little raider against another little amount of PD. Definitely a victory. Arco attacking Van in Winna. Okay, so we got a little stack of Bakemono Show versus... So this is somewhat more questionable, so we'll actually watch this, but probably the Bakemono Show will win here. Especially since that's the worst. When you only have one leader and you have ranged units and the leader runs out in front of the ranged units and gets killed. Horrible. Horrible. So there's that. And then we have a Ulmish attack on Arco in Sailor's Haven. Sailor's Haven is a throne, I believe. So we've got a little stack of Guardians, couple of Mastersmiths, and the like. Versus an actual little army. So a little bit of PD, some Hoplites mixed in, an Archusa, an Enchantress, looks like some Mystics. All right, let's see what happens here. Earth Power. Lots of summon Earth Power. Luck. Legions of Steel. Iron Blizzard. Looks like a bunch of point buffing back here with, like, Lux and things like that. Strength of Giants. Legions of Steel over here. And we have Iron Blizzards coming out. Iron Blizzards are deleting the PD. Oh, we've got some Gifts from Heaven coming out. That can be pretty bad. Frozen Hearts. Okay, so at this stage in the battle, decidedly winning on Ulm's side, right? But Arco's Hoplites, their buffed up Hoplites, have not entered the engagement yet, and I think that's going to make a massive difference, especially now that I think these Frozen Heartcasters and everything like that are really, yeah, they're doing a number. Iron Blizzard is still coming out. We have Iron Darts more than Iron Blizzard now. Got some Earth Melding happening. Earth Meld could actually be really useful here. The lines are holding, but I think we have more mages getting into the business of things over here. Ooh, point blank gifts from heaven. Oh, my goodness. Arco routes, surprisingly. I kind of thought Arco had that for a moment, but it looks like no. So Ulm loses 1 Mastersmith there, 17 Guardians. Arco loses 4 Mystics and 34 Hoplites. So, yeah. There's a lot of Iron Blizzard, Iron Dart spam coming out here. So, really good work done on the Priest Smiths. Pretty solid. Kind of unexpected, honestly, for that victory. I really thought Arco was going to pull it out there with that point buffing. I say for the point buffing, but more like the point buffing was going to hold up. And I do think it was holding up those Guardians. And I was kind of expecting the Mystics to be able to, like, kill more Guardians from there, but it just didn't happen. Pretty good. All right, so that's some interesting stuff. Let's take a look at all of our battles. We'll pop in just down the list. Blue Waters, whole bunch of Long Dead coming in. This should be an easy victory. Nothing doing. Great. Okay. We win in Blue Waters. We attack in Sea of Woe. Or we are attacked in Sea of Woe, actually. So this is just a Shambler Chief coming out. I'm assuming actually just, poking their head out. So we win there. We are attacked in Ermithia. So this is just him trying to flee with mages, right? So mages come out, and they both do make it off the field in Ermithia, right? Easy peasy. We are attacked in Blue Water. Little stack. Again, another mage. Oh, actually, this mage is trying to... Oh, this is not going to go well for us. We have 1 PD here, and they're Kulus. So Kululus, which are notoriously bad. Frozen Heart. Ooh. He doesn't even really get into the fight. What the fuck? That commander just insta-gibbed their mage. What the fuck? He just hit him for 28 points of damage. Just insta-killed their mage. And he doesn't have any other commanders. They were all on guard commander. Oh, they're going to kill him, though. They routed. Is it actually going to trigger the rout, though? Sometimes they'll stay and fight for a second. It triggered the rout. 1 PD actually just defended. Holy shit. That Kululu commander just destroyed Pelagia there. 1 gold versus 130 gold is what just happened right there. That's crazy. That's crazy. Hella. Alright, we get attacked in Cerulean Sea. Let's see how this goes. Another just Shambler poking their head out. And what this tactic is, by the way, is this tactic is Pelagia trying to see if I'm just leaving a single, like, Long Dead or some shit like that, right? Which I am doing that in several places. Just not in all the places. So, we get attacked in Tears of the Pantocrator. Now, this is, I think... Is this people actually trying to... Oh, okay. So we've got some trickery here. We've got... Yeah. A Dedukos, and then we've got this guy, this Pearl Mage, casting Magic Duel. So, did he just kill someone with that Magic Duel? Might have. Well, considering there were 3 blessings in the air, and there's suddenly only 2 Huron Priests there, seems likely that he got me with a Magic Duel. Which is fucking hella. I'm saying hella way too much. I started saying it like 2 or 3 days ago, and now I can't stop saying it. I'm trying, though. I'm actively trying. Alright, so that's a great snipe on Pelagia's part, right? Like, snagging a Huron Priest with a Pearl Mage Magic Duel. Great, fantastic. Super good maneuver. Easy. So we win in Tears of the Pantocrator, but honestly, that's a win for Pelagia. We've got another Deduco's. I don't know if he was trying to run away or what, but he just got deleted, so he's gone. In Illidar. We get attacked in Hippocampus Fortune. All right, this is an actual little army. So we've got a bunch of trolls underwater. So there's got to be some like underwater breathing mechanism for these peeps. We've got a whole bunch of gelatinous cubes. We've got a bunch of Triton Kings in here. Some corpse constructs. This is actually something that could be a problem. And is definitely going to obliterate this little stack of undead. So, gotta keep eyes on this. That is in Hippocampus Fortune. So 167 units, some Wave Warriors. Nice. 17 Mystics and 10 Pearl Mages. That is dangerous. We get attacked in Whirling Sea. Aha! Okay, so this is going to be another dangerous group, right? Whole bunch of Pelagian Mystics. We got Triton Kings in here. We got a bunch of Flame Jellies, which can be really gnarly underwater. I say underwater, like you can get them anywhere else. And some Knights of the Deep, which are basically the way that Pelagia won the early game against Oceania. And yes, right, was a good bless on these Knights of the Deep. So these guys are pretty tough to deal with. And they're obviously just going to delete all of this long dead. Oh! Whirling Sea. I forgot what Whirling Sea was. So, yeah, we have this stack. But this is also where we threw our Echidna, our little transmutation, or not transmutation, transformation baby, right? So we are throwing out Foul Vapors with the idea of if these guys can stick around long enough, which, you know, who fucking knows, then maybe we can kill off some mages and some wave warriors. I don't think we'll get... Obviously, we won't get the jellies. I think... yeah, there's poison resistance on these Knights of the Deep, so we won't be getting those either. We wouldn't get the water elementals. But, in theory... Oh, unfortunate. We get Enslaved Mind very early on in the fight. Now, Foul Vapors is still up, but I don't think this is going to last long enough to matter. And we lost our little foul spawn. Oh no. That's unfortunate. We didn't get... We accomplished almost nothing there. I say almost nothing. We basically accomplished nothing. We killed one Knight of the Deep. Unfortunate. That's a rough one. That's a rough loss. Losing 300 long dead is not a big deal for us, right? Losing the I don't know, we put like 40 gems into that, into trying to transform that foul spawn, so that is a little bit of a blow. Unfortunate is what it is, though. We got attacked in Pelagia. Little stack of mages. Well, I say mages. We got some Triton Kings, some Flame Jellies, some Wave Warriors. There's nothing here. So, just a single Supaya. And now we're starting to get into some of our attacks. We attacked into Sacred Lake. Another stack of undead. Ooh, okay. So the groups are out, and we're starting to see this is what we're gonna face up against with most of the fights that we're going against it with Pelagia, right? Flame Jellies, Wave Warriors, a fair amount of gelatinous cubes, Triton or Knights of the Deep in certain locations, right? and big ol' stacks of mages for some pretty scary stuff, honestly. So that's Sacred Lake. Lose another 80 long dead there. We attack in Nuptia. Nuptia? I don't know. This should be a victory. Just little PD bumps. No big deal. Yep. So we win there. We get attacked in Stormy Deep. This is just a single Supaya. So this is what he was trying to do with sending those Shambler Chiefs out. It's just he found more enemies than he did non-enemies. We attack in Blackport. Okay, so this is a stack of undead. We've got some Hatan Runa here. We've got some Dinyashis. The Dinyashis are really the only thing that are threatening here. But there's not actually much here. We've got just a little bit of PD, and then we have a mage in the back. A Bone Reader. Who gets got? Easy peasy. We attack in Emerald Lake. Bunch of Long Dead versus PD. Emerald Lake should be a win. Yep. We get attacked in Naruian Sea. Okay, so this is potentially a situation. We've got a little screen of Long Dead, and then this is where we combined all of... Oh, no boy. No boy. All of our forces, right? That were in and around the Pelagian area. So this is about 100 Supayas and 6 Huron priests, right? Up against some champions of the Closed Realm. We've got some Hippocampuses. We've got some Knights of the Deep. We got some Wave Warriors, and we got a little stack of Pelagian Mystics. So if this goes well, some of this stuff is going to move forward, and we're going to land on the group of, just like that, we're going to land on that group of Pelagian Mystics. And hopefully, and like the Triton King and stuff like that, and we're hopefully going to delete them. So. Friendly currents go up. We've got a lot of people on Guard Commander. This actually might be bad. We might not be able to... Attack. That's your attack rear? Yikes. Okay, well, that's not great. If this, right, had landed here, this might be a different matter. But now all of these Supayas are sitting ducks, right? They're getting laced into by the mages. They've got a Lich King, or a Lich here, not a Lich King. Witherbones is especially effective against Supayas. And this other guy, too. Yeah. It's just the Lich casting with it. The Witherbones is doing a lot of work. We do have our... That group of Supayas is dead. We do have our Huron priests in the back. I don't think they're going to match up against what's left here, though. I think this is a pretty big loss for us. Okay. So, Narian Sea. Yeah, we got slaughtered there. So, we ended up fighting more than we were anticipating. I remember when we threw at Naruian Sea, the idea was, hopefully, we're not going to fight against much. We're only going to fight against, like, a couple of mages poking out to try to, like, clear off the location. But he came out with quite a bit there. And we just weren't supported in the way that we probably should be. So, that went pretty poorly. We lost 100 Supaya, which is honestly the big loss here. The Huron priests, not so much a big loss, obviously, because they turn into Valkyrie priests. In point of fact, it's more of a loss on the Huron priests that we lose their rings of water breathing, because we just lost 6 of those. That's more of a concern than the Huron priests dying themselves, right? But the Supayas, 104 Supayas, that's like 4 turns of Supaya generation. So So that is pretty rough. What's more rough is the fact that we just didn't kill much of anything, right? We landed in a very poor location there. Had we landed around that back line of mages, I think we actually would have done damage. And killing like 5 or 6 mystics, maybe like a pearl mage or 2, would have been potentially worthwhile as a trade. But as it was, we just didn't really accomplish anything. So that's unfortunate. That's our first major loss, I think, of the war. Pelagia or versus Pelagia there. We got attacked, or we attacked in Oceania. Another little stack. A little bit more going on here. There is a Amber Clan Mage here, a Shark Knight in the back. This could end up being a problem. We're losing a lot. Yeah, I think he's got us. Okay, so that was Oceania. Yeah, we lose that one. Those Pelagian militia did pretty damn decent in that particular case. That Amber Clan Mage did a lot of work too. We attacked into Sea of Colossus. Or got attacked in Sea of Colossus. Good here. Yep. So a victory in Sea of Colossus. We attack in Harbor of Copper. That should be nothing. And then we get into the big ones. We've got 4 fortress battles this turn. So we attack in Armithia. I'm expecting nothing in any of these fortress battles, honestly. I'm expecting them to basically be free fortresses. Yeah, so there's nothing even inside this fortress. So clean victory there. Cerulean Sea. Nothing inside this fortress. Clean victory there. We attack in Tears of the Pantocrator. Nothing inside this fortress. Clean victory there. And then we attack in Illadar. And nothing in here. So clean victory there. So, oh, we also have one more battle. We get attacked in Klon by some Indies. Just a little Earth Gnome. But all we have here is PD and Hatenruna. So Hatenruna against an Earth Gnome would normally, I think, be questionable. But some hero Hatenruna actually just slapped that guy for a shit ton. So we win in Klon. So let's take a look at our battles. Versus Pelagia, we have 15 wins and 8 losses. And then versus Indies, we have 1 win and 0 losses. So not too bad. But let's actually talk about those battles, right? Like, we won more battles than we lost, but the battles that we lost, we lost, right? Like, it wasn't like, oof. The battles that we are losing, we're losing large amounts of Long Dead, which isn't a big deal, right? We got Long Dead for days. That's what they're there for. But we don't want to lose, like, 300 Long Dead for no reason, right? Like that's pretty bad. That happened once, I think, right? Yeah, so that happened in like Whirling Sea, 300 Long Dead, and our Echidna Foulspawn, right? So that's not great. And then something like Naruian Sea is also pretty bad. So those were our 2 really big losses there this turn. But the trade-off, right? What are we getting in return? We got 4 forts, right? So what does that kind of translate for us? It means we are taking losses that we don't want to take versus Pelagia. But we did have a pretty good opening salvo of taking fortresses. If Pelagia is unable to keep us from continuously taking fortresses, then that's going to be really big for us, right? But we have seen that Pelagia does have plenty of little stacks that can deal with something like 100 Supaya, and a couple of big stacks that could deal with our big stacks. So we're going to have to be cognizant of that and potentially try to pull out some tricks here or there to see about delivering Pelagia some pretty big blows. Right now, it feels like they're pretty spread out. They've got a couple of different medium-sized armies throughout their various empires. If they consolidate that into like 2 big armies and they come at me, it's going to be very difficult, I think, for us to do too terribly much against them, especially underwater. So we kind of want to try to defeat in detail soonish before Pelagia can try to combine armies, or while they might not try to combine armies, while Pelagia is like, ooh, we're doing good. Lure Pelagia into some fights and kind of like try to trick them, basically. So fingers crossed. That will probably need to be the game plan, but I'm not sure how that's going to look yet. So we'll talk about it. We got some events this turn. Unexpected event in Klon. We are attacked by an Earth Gnome. So Klon is attacked. Unexpected event in Packwoods. There's a shipwreck on the coast. The cargo of the broken vessel has been salvaged and some survivors forced into service. We got some gold and an Azure Mage. That's cool. Unexpected event in Dutrandine. Hordes of peasants have left their home in search of a better place, so we lose some population there. And then in Olifa, a huge number of people have migrated, so we gain some population. So, events for the turn, 2 negative and 2 positive. Klon was attacked. Dutrandine population minus 1,340. Olifa population plus 670. We got 195 gold, and an Azure Mage joined us. So that's pretty neat. Not like crazy, but that's pretty neat. I feel like we have not been having really good luck here lately. We haven't been having a lot of gold events and or gem events, and we keep having kind of like this mix of negative and positive events, which is kind of rough considering we have luck 3. The problem is, part of the problem is we're getting pushed, dom pushed in almost every location. So there's actually a couple of locations that we don't have our Dominion in, and that's going to become a problem. It's going to become a more and more of a problem if Vanheim gets bigger and we don't also get bigger, right? So, in response to the various attacks, we've got Sea of Karassos breached, right? We've got Sea of Woe breached, and that's pretty much it. So, we got a bunch of not royals, we got a bunch of Malquis this turn because of the deaths in Neruian Sea. So that's a slight bonus. Let's talk about what we're doing! So, we're not going to go over every single thing every single time as we move forward in this war. Most of the movements on land are us moving Long Dead closer to the coast. There's a couple of little things here or there, like this group of Hatenruna that are heading out to other locations, but most of these are Long Dead coming towards the coast, or people heading into Satrandith, or something of the like, right? Most of the movements in Pelagian territory that are past the middle column, right? We talked last turn about the columns 1, 2, and 3, kind of like the lines of the war. If it's past column 2, right? So if it's moving into column 3, then it's just Mound King's raiding, right? So we got some Mound King's raiding into Troll Sea. We got some Mound King's raiding into Devil's Pond and Silver World. What I've seen is it looks like my border, the eastern coastline, is way more fortified than the western coastline, right? So we're trying to get Mound Kings into that backfield just to do damage, take income away from Pelagia, etc. Okay, so we're going to be doing that wherever we can. Every chance we get the opportunity, we're going to be leaving a little long dead behind just to hold someone up, hold a fortification up for a turn, basically. And that's going to be the plan. Let's talk about what are our active vectors. We've got 3 main locations. So we took Illidan, Tears of the Pantocrator, Ermithia, and Cerulean Sea this turn. We've got 3 main attack points, right, that are concerns. 2 of them are underwater, right, in Sea of Woe and Sea of Karasos, because both of those fortifications are breached, and my assumption is going to be that Pelagia isn't going to want to lose more underwater forts, if at all possible. They shouldn't, right? And then the third location is now the remaining land territory. So starting with Blackport and then Duspris and Dry Fields, right? So those are the 3 main focal points for us at this moment. So Sea of Woe is actually one of the easier locations to discuss because it is a little safer in location. There's not a huge stack at Yis, right? So we don't have to worry about that much. There is a very big stack that could cause us problems in Whirling Sea, but Whirling Sea can't make it to Sea of Woe this turn, so we don't have to worry about that much. But then there is a pretty big stack, it looks like, at Sacred Lake. So Sacred Lake is the only vector that we have to worry about when it comes to Sea of Woe. What we're doing is we are throwing units from Cerulean Sea and from Sea of Woe at Sacred Lake, and I don't expect them to be able to win, right? But what I do expect, hopefully, is the way that movement works in certain situations is that the bigger, if 2 armies are trying to move, right? This army is trying to move into this province, and this army is trying to move into this province, right? Whichever army is bigger tends to get the impetus, right? So if I am trying to move into his territory with a bigger army, and he's trying to move into the same territory I'm leaving from with a smaller army, typically we will fight on his land. Because my army's bigger, I get the priority in moving. That does not always work. This is actually one of the finicky things about movement in Dominions that is less reliable, but it's pretty reliable. The issue being is this a bigger stack than this? Or is this a bigger stack, right? This is 160 than this. I don't know, right? So it could be we are trying to converge units on Sacred Lake. It could be that we get hit in Sea of Woe and we're fucked, right? Or it could be that we are successful in holding him at Sacred Lake and we're fucked anyways, just because, right? Like, this is probably not going to be able to defeat an actual army, right? We do have some Supayas to kind of like mix things up. We've got a Shark Attack, right? To kind of like maybe... Shark Attack is basically like Underwater Howl. Just to kind of like mix things up. We've got some Living Water potentially coming in there. That being said, I expect if we fight on Sacred Lakes, we will lose. But we are sending in a White Mage with some Long Dead. If they are alive in time to attack the fort or breach the fort, right, I expect they will win, because I don't think there's much or anything in Sea of Woe. Unless something gets teleported into Sea of Woe, which this White Mage is there to just soul slay, right? That's the hope. But we're sending in a fair amount of backup to Sea of Hope in case something does come from Sacred Lake and gets there. So we're sending down a bunch of Supayas. We're sending down several Hydromancers, right? We're going to have Shark Attack, Friendly Currents. We're going to have a bunch of Quickening go on the Supayas here. We've got 150 Supayas. It's actually going to be a little bit of a difficulty for us blessing all of them. but we'll make do. And then the big thing, obviously, is Army of Gold coming out. I wanted to get anti-magic in here, but we just didn't. We didn't have all of the rings of underwater breathing that we potentially want at this point. Okay, so that's what's happening in Sea of Woe. Blackport, I think, is the next easiest thing to talk about. We are sending in a lot of the fast forces from Ermithia. We're sending them into Blackport, right? So a lot of these flying units can make it all the way over to Blackport. So we're going to have a Queen of Clouds there. We're having a Welling Windscaster. We've got a bunch of Huacas and Condors coming in. This is almost a full scenario. We will have things like Serpent's Blessing, Mass Regeneration. We're going to have Fog Warriors. We're going to have a decent size. We're going to have a small communion there. We're going to have Army of Lead there, etc., etc. So I'm not expecting, right? The threat comes from Hippocampus's fortune here. I'm not expecting Hippocampus's fortune to attack us on land, but it is possible, right? There's trolls here, there's great eagles, etc., etc. All of this could totally come on land. If it does, I am not 100% sure that what we have here is going to face off against it, but I am relatively confident that will be okay, right? With the Huacas especially in there to deal some legitimate damage, I think we'll be fine, but it is a little bit of a crapshoot. The alternative is if Hippocampus's fortune goes for Sea of Colossus, and that's actually what I think is likely to happen. So Sea of Colossus currently only has a Hydromancer and a Mound King, right? So I'm expecting, and because of our movement last turn, right, we stymied Emerald Lake and we stymied Nuptia, right? So he doesn't have anything to really like relieve Sea of Colossus from Oceania or Emerald Lake or anything else. It has to come from Hippocampus's fortune, right? Unless he teleports in and he's just like, I'm going to defend it from the inside. So my expectation is Blackport isn't breached, so he's not going to prioritize Blackport. I'm expecting him to try to knock us off of Sea of Colossus because he doesn't want to lose more underwater forts. So we are sending in a fair amount of shit into Sea of Colossus to fight it. Specifically, we're sending in Army of Gold, right? We've got anti-magic, we've got a fair amount of quickening coming out, along with Frost Fins, Friendly Currents, Shark Attack, Will of the Fates, we've got Serpent's Blessing, Relief, Mass Regeneration, and we've got Life After Death, right? So we've got a bunch going in, and we're even actually taking units underwater with a Barrel of Air, right? The hope there being that an extra 26 Huacas supporting some Supayas is going to make the difference, right? These Earth Gnomes also potentially really good blockers in this whole situation. So this is dicey. If he takes the bait with what is in Hippocampus's fortune, it's possible that we lose that, right? But I don't know. It's possible that we win. This is kind of like dicey scenarios, but we need to kind of force these engagements, because if we try to drag this out, if we're very, very slow about this war, then I don't think it's going to matter. I think Vanheim's going to win, right? Eventually, I say that, but Arco's still doing pretty good. But I think eventually Arco's going to get worn down by Ulm and Vanheim, right? As long as Ulm stays in the war and doesn't peace out, because then Arco versus Vanheim could stabilize for Arco's favor, right? But as long as Arco has to deal with Ulm as well as Van, I think eventually Arco's gonna lose, right? So, with that kind of concept in mind, we can't take 20, 30, 40 turns with this war. We can't slowly bleed Pelagia out. we need to win some major engagements. If we can smash, so the anticipation up here with Whirling Sea is that it's going to go for Tears of the Pantocrator, right, to chase us out of the sea. So we move away into Sea of Woe, and we leave Tears of Pantocrator, because then they have to make the decision to siege it down or not, right? We hit the backfield of Pelagia, cause more problems. We start taking the peninsula of Blackport, and we catch them out in Sea of Carrassos with the hope that the army from Hippocampus's Fortune is going to go there, and we're really lucky with what we do, right? Or we're really lucky in how well we do. It's a crapshoot. If we lose here, right? Like, if all of this is gone, it's not the end of the game for us, obviously, right? But any major loss past kind of like what we had happen in Naruian Sea, or Narian Sea, it's bad at this point, right? Because any major loss is going to be exacerbating the overall time it takes to conquer Pelagia, in theory, right? And become a sizable threat. So, that's the long and short of things. Sea of Woe, Sea of Carrassos, Blackport are our big focuses for the next turn. I think we're safe in Sea of Woe, but we might not be. I think we're safe in Blackport, but we might not be. And Sea of Carrassos, I think, is a little bit of a toss-up. So, fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about mechanics for the turn. We've got recruitment for the turn. We have 2 Akla, 1 Lizard Shaman, 1 Huron Priest, 1 Royal Malqui, and 5 Sun Guard. So, something that I'm actually very excited about, and I want to kind of mention, is we've got money. we're actually making a little bit of money now. Taking these provinces from Pelagia, taking for like Cerulean Sea, big injection of income. Tears of the Pantocrator, a little injection, right? Ermithia, decent injection, right? All of these little spots, Rid, Retha, this stuff matters, right? Blue Water, it is actually adding up to provide us with a decent amount of income. If we can win against Pelagia, we're going to watch our income triple, at least, right? Which is exactly, that's been a massive problem for us for the last 20 plus turns, basically ever since we lost Riches from Beneath. It might have been longer than that at this point, but we are already immediately, we're seeing benefits from this war with Pelagia, and immediately I'm turning it into Royal Malquis. We're probably going to turn this into as many Royal Malquis as we can. The goal being that on the other side of this, we're looking, we go from, I think we have like 6 or 7 Royal Malquis. We go to like 20, 25 Royal Malquis, right? Because then that's just in the concept of calling Supayas, 25 Royal Malquis is 75 Supayas a turn, right? So if we can afford that amount of upkeep, which is kind of crazy, then we can actually start to see an explosive amount of free spawn, quote unquote free spawn, for our rebels. Pretty fun. Anyway, so that's the recruitment for the turn. Nazcan recruits. We've got a couple of specials. We haven't had to deal with this for a while, right? Nazcan recruits. We have 7 Malqui priests mummified this turn. Fuck yeah. So, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We lose 7 Huron priests, but we gain 7 Malqui priests, which is pretty dope. Especially considering that means we're going to be able to produce more Long Dead Warriors. So 7 Malqui priests, only 20 Hatenruna this turn, because Golm is basically captured out. We're just patrolling there now, so no Hatenruna slated for the next turn. We got 236 Long Dead Warriors this turn, which is fantastic. We finally broke the 200 mark for real. So that's pretty cool. But it took us losing 7 Huron Priests because of it. Basically, all of those Huron Priests are immediately summoning Long Dead. So we got that. 2 more summoned Supayas for 14 more Supayas. Oh, I skipped. The 10 recalled Supayas, and then 2 more summoned Supayas for 14 more Supayas. And then 1 summoned Huacas for 7 more Huacas. Very good turn for Nazcan recruits. And that's a fun thing I think about Nazca, right? Is even when we had a bad turn, or we had some issues with the turn where we lost a fair amount of mages, but did we? Question mark, right? Like, we just got those mages back in a different form, which is really cool. Other things we have going on, special recruits, we have 1 Direwolf, 1 Dustwalker, and 1 Air Elemental. Up here, Aya is just kind of like hanging out because we don't have anything active to do with her at the moment after taking Illidan. And then we've got rituals for the turn. Rituals for the turn are actually very basic, but rituals, we have 10 Revive Kings. I realized, right, like, we've got a shit ton of Long Dead hanging around that we are not moving. We're going to start moving them. So we've got Revive Kings all over the place to start moving more and more and more Long Dead. So we've got that going on. And then we have 1 teleport, right? We are teleporting a Royal Malqui over to Blackport for this whole shebang. And then we actually have 1 Earth attack. So we've got our god, our Odysseus the Frostfather, throwing out some Earth attacks this turn. We're going to see, we're kind of fishing here to see if Pelagia has any defenses up or anything like that. We're throwing a Earth attack at Whirling Sea. There is a possibility, if we take a look at Whirling Sea, that we snag a leader while they're moving around all these Knights of the Deep or these Wave Warriors or these Flame Jellies or something like that. It's pretty low, right? But there's a chance that we snag a leader or something like that. I'm also just interested in testing out, generally speaking, how does a Earth Elemental do underwater against the Pelagian mages? I think it's going to do pretty well against just about anything that isn't a Triton King. I actually give the Earth Elemental the edge against anything that isn't a Triton King, for the most part. So we might actually start, because we have a lot of Earth income that we're not using a crazy amount of all the time. So if we set up to do multiple Earth attacks, we could start really needling Pelagia down, especially if they are moving big stacks around. Losing the wrong 2 or 3 mages as you're moving around, or wrong 2 or 3 commanders as you're moving around, can really screw up the logistics of your army, especially if you're about to engage in a really big battle, right? So we're kind of just poking around with that. Ultimate Gateway saves us 6 Astral and 8 Death this turn. So always positive stuff there. And then last but not least, we have Forging. We are forging in a lot of different places, so it's all over the place. We are forging 4 Rings of Water Breathing, 1 Lightless Lantern, 1 Huaca Headdress, 1 Barrel of Air, and 1 Water Lens. So, like I said earlier, losing all those Huron Priests, the biggest loss there, aside from the Supaya, isn't the Huron Priests, because we just get Malqui Priests out of that. The biggest loss there was we lost 6 freaking Rings of Water Breathing. And on this turn, it became very apparent to me that we do not have nearly the amount of Rings of Water Breathing that we want, because I couldn't send in half of the units into Sea of Woe that I wanted to, or into Sea of Karasos. Right, so there were many units that I wanted to send in to Sea of Karasos, and Sea of Woe to a lesser extent, to try to shore up the defenses and make these pitched battles and give us a really good chance of winning. We just didn't have the Rings of Water Breathing, which feels crazy because we've produced so many over the last, 15 turns. we need more, right? So probably for the next couple turns, we're going to have as many rings of water breathing being produced as possible, and occasionally things like barrels of air or pills of underwater breathing or those types of things, right? Barrels of air are a little... I'm not sure they're super great, right? That's 150 size points for 25 air, but we're not doing a crazy amount with our air right now, aside from throwing air gems onto our Queens of the Cloud for like Fog Warriors, but they can't go underwater. And most of our land engagements, I think, are done at this point. So I don't know that we're going to be doing a lot with our air underwater as we move forward. Trying to get Fog Warriors underwater is a little bit difficult for us, but it's theoretically something that we can do. I say a little bit difficult. It involves, the easiest way is just doing it with like a Royal Malquay, but that involves potentially killing a Communion very easily. I really, really, really wish, I guess technically there is a way to drop out of a Communion, right? Like you can retreat from the battle and drop out of a Communion. But I wish there was just a spell, right? Because you have a spell for Communion Master, for Communion Slave, for Sabbath Slave, Sabbath Master, etc. I wish there was just like a spell for Leave Communion, right? So that you could Communion Master, right? Do a spell or two, or whatever you're trying to accomplish, and then leave the Communion, and then start casting, right? Like, I feel like that would be a really, really cool mechanic. You know what? There might actually be ways to do that I'm unaware. The only way that I know how to do that is just retreat. You can do things like, give a Communion Master a ranged weapon, and then be like, here's your script, and then the last thing on your script is to fire, like shoot your ranged weapon, so that you don't kill the Communion that you're in. But I think it would be so cool to just give us the flexibility of like popping in or out of Communions, right? Like being like, okay, I'm going to join a Communion so I can cast these spells, and then I'm going to leave the Communion, right? And it would also be, I think, really cool for us to be able to do with Communion Slaves, to be like, we're going to slave up for this Communion, right? And then after do our script, right? After 5 turns, we drop out, right? That would also be cool to give us the flexibility to do different things. That would be really neat. As it is right now, I feel like most Communions are very like, throw it in, it's gonna die, but yeah, it should be worth it, right? So, anyways, just kind of like hypothetically thinking about that. I'm very interested in how these battles turn out. It's Sea of Woe, Sea of Colossus, Blackport. I think the first 2 turns of this war have gone okay for us, right? We're getting a lot of good things out of it, but, right? What's going to be really telling is how these next couple of engagements go. If we can't get any traction and we get slaughtered in Sea of Woe, we get slaughtered in Sea of Colossus, even if we take Blackport and Dupreis and like Dryfields, if we take all of the land provinces, if we're unable to get any traction underwater, then it's not gonna be good for us in the long run, right? Like it's a protracted war with Pelagia is failure for us. That means that we will not have the resources that we're hoping to gain out of this. We won't have the additional gem incomes, etc., etc. Which, by the way, a couple of nice things. Cerulean Sea has crab colony, and oh no, that's not the one that I was thinking. Illidar has some actual nature for us, which is good because we've had shit nature this whole game. Ermithia has nothing. And Tears of the Pantocrator has a +3 water gem site, which is really cool. So far, though, not like a crazy amount of gems coming out of all of these. I think we've taken like 6 or 7 actual provinces. Not a crazy amount of gems coming out. I don't know if that's because Pelagia maybe hasn't site searched all of their stuff, or they just got really unlucky, or we just haven't hit any of the good spots yet, right? I don't know. So, anyways, that's me talking way too long about what's going on. Really excited to see where these next couple battles take us. That's pretty much it. Fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. Bye-bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.